And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to We Believe Digital Studios, downtown Jackson, Mississippi, for our twice weekly news break show. I'm so sorry I missed on Wednesday. I got overcome by was under the weather. We'll just leave it at that. So back on track now for our Friday show, 3 p.m. and just jumping right into WJTV reporting that on next Wednesday, the 21st, admission going to be free to the two museums. This is a gift made possible by Jones Walker law firm, and really that law firm had started out as Watkins, Ludham, Winter, and Stennis. So the former governor, William F. Winter, that was his law firm. And so in honor of him, they're giving everybody a free day at the two museums. So that's next Wednesday, all day long, going to be free to the public at the two museums. If you can find a way to break away and get over there, bring the kids, all kinds of things over there to see. Also from JTV, just a Jackson police officer severely injured after being hit by a suspect's car on this morning. Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade said the injured officer is the leader of the Jackson Police Department's Crisis Intervention Team, CIT, unit. He said the officer and other officers were responding to a call about a mental health suspect in a parking lot of Merit Health Central. Sure have a lot of stuff go on in the parking lot over at Merit Health, huh? They said the man was refusing to leave the location. When the officers arrived, the location, the suspect hit the officer with the vehicle and then took off. Now, later on, they found the vehicle, but they haven't found the man that was driving the vehicle. So, obviously, we keep our prayers with the unnamed Jackson police officer, the head of that CIT unit. That's the unit respond to some of the most critical things that go on, and definitely when there's mental health issues involved. And so we pray for his speedy recovery. Another story at Jackson, it is a little piece of news, but don't want to dwell on it, and that is that WLBT's CJ LeMaster reported a short while ago that Jackson City Council President Aaron Banks has decided to plead not guilty to first offense DUI and a separate lane violation. I believe that was, I want to say, January 12th. And he posed the question, he's still uncertain why he was transported from Byram all the way to Florence to do a BAC test before being brought back to Hinds County. He also said that they did find a previous DUI about 10 years ago, but if they're calling this a first offense, I guess that the clock rolls over every 10 years or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, so yeah, he's not going to go down without a fight and is pleading not guilty to that. Good news out of Bolton, Mississippi. A report from WAPT. The new District 2 supervisor, Anthony Tony Smith, held his first town hall meeting last night, about 45 days into the new term. The meeting was at Mount Olive MB Church in Bolton. Some called the meeting a breath of fresh air, feeling as if they finally having their voices heard. And isn't that what it's all about? We put these people in office. They got to listen. We put them in office, sure, to make the final decisions, of course. But they gotta be. You gotta hear. You gotta feel the people. You got to know what's going on before you make that call. So, one lady here, Miss Flora Green, from the St. Thomas community, she said, and I quote, "He addressed the how and why the trash is being picked up the way it is. He addressed how the roads are going to be worked on. He gave out his number. He has been very transparent, so it has been a pleasure to see a new person in office so we can at least know what to expect." And I know those people down in St. Bolton and St. Thomas. I know a group personally, and well, you've seen the reports on the news about those potholes down there, and couldn't get any traction on that with the former supervisor, is what they say. So anyway, we got a new supervisor, and he says there's a plan to address that. So let's wish him well, give him a chance, and sound like he's stepping out on the right foot. That's Anthony Tony Smith, District 2 supervisor. And that's it in Jackson-Hinds County, but just skipping out to the broader Mississippi news stories, always reminding you today is just another day. Now we got the legislature in session right now, and it's another day when they won't call for any hearings or conduct any hearings on the largest fraud in the state's history. Now, what does that tell you? I mean, what does that tell you? They hold hearings about all kinds of stuff, don't they? About transportation, about mental health, about broadband, about Medicaid, about IHL, educational issues. Where does school money going to go? Who's going to get hired to be what president of what, schools? They hold hearings all the time. But they refuse to hold hearings. The Republican majority refused to hold hearings on the largest fraud in the state's history. Now, do you think that has something to do with poor people? Because that's who the money was, part of a federal safety net to be here to help the poorest of the poor in Mississippi. And they redirected that money, stole that money, pilfered it, misspent, whichever word you want to put in there. And you think that's what it was? You think it's because they're poor people, they don't care? Or do you think, like I tend to think, that maybe, there's a whole lot more of them that were very much aware of that, but their names are not out in public yet, and they want to keep it that way? There's no way that could have been pulled off. They said upwards of $97 million. Now, how are you going to pull that off? Send former wrestlers to rehab, set up fitness boot camps for Governor Reeves when he was a lieutenant governor, make volleyball stadiums for Brett Favre. How are you going to do all that with only a handful of people knowing about it? Isn't that kind of impossible? So anyway, I think there's a reason, but I think these people are malfeasant. I think they have a duty, an obligation, but they just ignore it. And, what is the mechanism to hold them accountable, to make them hold hearings? They just don't want to do it, and they're not going to do it. And there doesn't seem to be any way to make them do it. But we remind the public every time we come on this show. We remind the public that of their impotency, of their malfeasance in not performing their oversight duties as legislative members. Another story out of this legislator, story about Glock switches. They say, Mississippi, I think this came from Yahoo News, Mississippi lawmakers working to outlaw the possession of, quote, machine gun conversion devices, i.e. Glock switches, unquote, making possession a felony. Federal law already outlaws the ownership and sale of these devices, but the bill would codify the rule in state law for use by local prosecutors. A bill authored by Republican Representative Kevin Felsher, F-E-L-S-H-E-R, was passed out of the Judiciary B Committee on yesterday. It says any person who manufactures, possesses, or uses a machine gun conversion device will be guilty of a felony offense. Okay, way to go. From WJTV, the first legislative deadline of this session has come and gone. Thousands of bills have been filed. We had the new state representative on here on Monday night sharing with us. He alone dropped 7 bills at one time. Thousands been filed, giving us a glimpse as to what the rest of the session may be focused on. So far, there's been a huge emphasis on health care. Wow. Especially from the House Democrats. The Democrats that are in the minority. They're taking another swipe at expanding Medicaid with one slight change this year. House Democrats filed 7 separate bills that would expand Medicaid to Mississippi's working population. 6 of those bills would expand Medicaid in the traditional sense through the Affordable Care Act, but one bill authored by House Minority Leader Robert Johnson, Democrat of District 94, who's been in this studio before, he'd take a different approach. He plans to expand Medicaid in the traditional expense, but it includes a private insurance option and a tiered copay system based on income. It would cover people up to 200% of federal poverty level compared with the traditional expansion, which covers up to 138%. And, that's from the Democrats. We do have a story today I guess it's never too late when you have people dying and suffering under this horrible health care provision in the unhealthiest state in the country. But Mississippi Today reports that Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, perhaps a candidate for governor, is announcing a Senate Medicaid expansion bill. How about that? He said Thursday the Senate would have a bill by Monday deadline to expand Medicaid to cover the working poor. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of it because so much more is yet to come out, and we'll just have to see, how that comes to pass. But, apparently this is the first time that Hosemann has done that. He's been over there a long time now as lieutenant governor. Some people say he's the most powerful person in the state. The only thing I know about him right now is the Mississippi Link newspaper requested an interview from him, and we still can't get a response back. He wanted to know what Mississippi Link wanted to talk to him about, and so we sent that in, and haven't heard a word about it since. It's been a couple of weeks. Hope he changes his mind and gives the Mississippi Link an interview. Wouldn't that be good? So there we are, coming up on the end of the first segment. So we have this amazing producer, Chelsea, back with us. Delighted to see her sitting in the command chair back there, and she's going to take us to break for a couple of commercials, and then we'll be right back with you.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee. To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back, everybody, to the We Believe Digital News Break. So glad you're with us. The show intro now got a QR code if you want to scan that, get the quick access to the website. We are a rising black media company, black-owned, black-operated media company here in this region, and we are trying to grow. We welcome your ideas for podcasts. We welcome your feedback on the shows. Give us a call anytime. 800-492-5186, or stop by the Garrett Office Complex on Livingston Road behind the Medical Mall. Be happy to answer your questions. We got some very talented staff here that know the deal and be happy to listen to what you have to say. Get your feedback, work with you, maybe help you cut a commercial to help move your brand along, your products and services. We do all that kind of stuff, all kinds of filming. We want to be your go-to, your on-demand platform for your entertainment, for your news, for your religion, spirituality, health issues, the whole deal. And we now even got radio, live stream radio, WBLV radio, going all the time. So now we skip out onto the that Super Bowl that I didn't have a chance to speak about on Wednesday because I was under the weather. But, well, you got to give it to them. Okay, congratulations, the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl number 58 against the San Francisco 49ers, 25-22. The game went into overtime. I guess a lot of people really thought 49ers going to win that game, but it's not the way it worked out. Some people saying stuff about maybe it was rigged. I don't understand all that. That's kind of way over my head. But you got to give it to them now. That's three now. That's three with Mahomes in the driver's seat. So you got to give it to him. He halfway to what Brady had, right? So and then the parade. Oh, was that sad or what? Then the parade, it had this wonderful parade going on, and shooting breaks out. Another mass shooting. Just crazy. I mean, 22 people injured, one woman killed, a local DJ, Lisa Lopez Galvin. They set up a GoFundMe page for her family. Nice thing to do. Well, that GoFundMe page caught the attention of who other than Taylor Swift. The Elizabeth Lopez-Galvin memorial page was set up Thursday afternoon with a goal of raising $75,000 for the family of the victim, the popular radio DJ and figure in the city's Hispanic community. Around 1,300 people had made donations when Swift pushed the total beyond the goal, beyond the $75,000 goal this morning. First making a donation for $50,000, then making a second $50,000 donation 8 minutes later. She says, quote, "Sending my deepest sympathies and condolences in the wake of your devastating loss. With love, Taylor Swift," wrote the singer on a platform, I'm not sure. Maybe on that page. Very sad. So many of the people injured were kids, and we just so much craziness going on, it just, where do you even begin to talk about this stuff with guns? It's just heartbreaking. The Biden-Harris administration announced a set of executive actions aimed at addressing the critical issue of gun violence, with a particular focus on encouraging secure storage of firearms to prevent children from accessing guns. The move comes in response to the disturbing high rates of school shootings, youth suicides, and accidental injuries due to unsecured guns in homes. The newly introduced executive order includes initiatives to improve background checks, increase accountability within the gun industry, and provide assistance to communities that have been impacted by gun violence. The Congress, they won't do it. they won't do it. So looks like Biden-Harris administration doing everything that they can. Got about 4 more stories to come to you here. Try and give you a recap on this Israel-Hamas war. A very lengthy story, but first, the death of Alexei Navalny, reported to us overnight. President Joe Biden expressed shock and outrage at the death of Navalny, blaming Vladimir Putin for the Russian opposition's leader passing in a Serbian prison on this morning, and saying the incident showed the importance of funding for Ukraine. Apparently, he was at a penal farm near the Arctic Circle, been sentenced to about 19 years in prison. Many people say charges were trumped up. A vocal critic of Putin. And when you do stuff like that over there, bad things happen. The president says, quote, "Make no mistake, Putin is responsible for Navalny's death." Biden told journalists in the White House. He said the U.S. did not know exactly what had happened, but there is no doubt that the death of Navalny was the consequence of something that Putin and his thugs did, unquote. His death in a Russian prison and the fixation and fear of one man only underscores the weakness and rot at the heart of the system that Putin built, according to Secretary of State Antony Blinken. And he spoke that at a conference he's attending in Munich, a security conference. From NBC News, what we know about the Israel-Hamas war, meaning what we know for certain, because there's just so much reporting out there. So they try and do a condensed version. Satellite images show extensive construction and a wall being built in Egypt along the border with Gaza's southernmost city of Rafah. Dozens of bulldozers and earth movers can be seen clearing the land in the Sinai Desert, and construction equipment also visible. Across the border, the shelters and tents can be seen in Rafah, where more than 1 million people have sought refuge since Israel launched its ground invasion in the enclave. The enclave that originally, when the war started, the leader of Israel, Netanyahu, told people to go there. They started in the north. They're going south. He told everybody, the people that are not, Hamas, the Palestinian people, he told them to go to the south. They did, but now they're invading the south. Egyptian officials have denied they are building an enclosure to house displaced Palestinians. Okay. A senior U.S. official told NBC News last night that high-level talks about ceasefire and securing the release of the remaining hostages in Hamas captivity are ongoing, despite an apparent veto by the Israeli prime minister. I don't know how all that works. Disagreement remains over Hamas' demand that 1,500 Palestinian prisoners, including some convicted of murder, be released in exchange for those held in captivity. President Biden spoke with Netanyahu last night and reiterated his view that a military option should not proceed without a credible and executable plan for ensuring the safety of and support for the civilians in Rafah, according to a White House readout of the call. Pardon me. At least 2 people were killed and 4 wounded when a Palestinian attacker opened fire at civilians in the city of Ashdod in southern Israel, police said today. So that's something new. At least 5 patients have died during Israel's raid on Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza's main medical facility. Palestinian health authorities said the deaths were caused by a lack of oxygen, power outages, doctors displaced, civilians and critical ill patients were forced to evacuate. Some patients were left behind because they were too weak to move. The Palestinian death toll now has exceeded 28,600, more than 68,300 people injured, and thousands more missing, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. Israeli military officials say at least 233 soldiers have been killed during the ground invasion. And the final story for today, the U.S. Recently, I believe it was last week, but just hearing about it now, because that's the way that works with some of the military operations, the U.S. recently conducted a cyber attack against an Iranian military ship, pardon me, that had been collecting intelligence on cargo vessels in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, according to 3 U.S. officials. The cyber attack, which occurred more than a week ago, was part of the Biden administration's response to the drone attacks by Iranian-backed militia in Iraq that killed 3 U.S. service members in Jordan and wounded dozens of others late last month, officials said. So apparently that Iranian military ship was sending information to Iranian-backed rebels, and they were using that to target to use their drones to target other ships in the Red Sea, a critical sea lane around the globe. Something like 15 or 18% of all commerce globally comes through the Red Sea. So that's all we have for you today. We Believe Digital Newsbreak. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back with you next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Wednesday and Friday, 3 p.m. Newsbreak show. But don't forget, so many other offerings. WeBelieveDigital.com. So many other shows going on. Have more shows coming up today. So stay with us and push those likes and push those notifications on your phone so you get a heads up when a new show is coming on, and share that with your friends. Donate if you can, but be sure to click the likes and the notifications and share with your friends. It means the world to us as we grow this platform, this media company. Thanks so much. See you next Wednesday.